everybody, and welcome back to the Tackling Basketball Podcast. My name is Evan.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Micah.
Jonathan, you should see his face. He's having a lot of fun already. We got a fun agenda for you here today, of course. We got Toast and Roast, Matchup of the Week, Power Rankings. We will be going over who's on the hot seat, NFL edition, talking about coaches that are going to be fired because according to Adam Schefter, there's going to be like 10 of them this year, which is crazy. So fun times ahead for the NFL and all the crap teams. But let's jump right into it. Micah, we'll start with you. Who are you toasting this week?
I'm toasting Devin Booker, coming off of a game where he hit a game-winning three, Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. Devin Booker has been on a tear in the last 7 games, scoring 28.8 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 8.4 assists in those 7 games. And the Suns have won those 7 games. They're on a 7-game streak as soon as he comes back. Devin Booker has been in and out at the beginning of the season, like played a game, sat out like 4, played another game, sat out a bunch of other ones. This is the first significant stretch of time that he's played, and the Suns are looking incredible, and he is just balling out. So, cheers, Devin Booker. Way to go. Keep it up, buddy.
Yeah. I will say this. This is like how the Suns have been doing and how he's been doing this. Does this make anybody else question the need for Bradley Beal on this team?
Kind of. I feel like you could have looked at their team last year and been like, yeah, this is really
I already
good.
did, but now
We
I
did
feel
on
like,
the podcast.
I know we did on the podcast, but like this is now just even more cementing, like, not sure Bradley Beal was what you guys needed, but okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but who needs bench depth, you know?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you get to the playoffs, you use like 7 players. So.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Mike or Jonathan, over to you.
That's the one.
Hi. I am toasting none other than the Denver Broncos. I mean, I ripped into them twice earlier this year. It is only fair that after a 5-game win streak against really tough opponents, let's be honest, that I sort of come back and give them a hearty handshake for it. They've looked really impressive. They sort of dialed up the run game a lot and dialed back Russ a little bit, but it's been working. I mean, even offensively, Russ has gone in these 5 games, 194 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 114, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 193, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 356, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 134, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. What's in common there? 0 picks, 0 fumbles for us, and you look at what the defense has done to back it up too. The turnover differential versus Green Bay 1-0, nothing too impressive. Kansas City 5-1, with the only turnover being a fumble. Buffalo 4-1, Minnesota 3-0, and Cleveland this last weekend 3-1. They are dominating the turnovers game, and they are like doing really, really well to contain these offenses. I would love to see more points scored off of these turnovers. I think a combined 2 touchdowns across these 15 turnovers. But we haven't needed it because the defense has been absolutely incredible. The offense has done exactly what they needed to do, played within control, and it's been shown. Remaining strength of schedule looks really easy too, so I'm hopeful that they might make playoffs. Remaining opponents include Texans, Chargers twice, Lions, Patriots, and Raiders. It's ranked the 6th easiest remaining strength of schedule according to current records. And sportsbooks now have our odds to make playoffs moved all the way up to 27%.
Ooh.
Which feels low. Buy it while you still can. I bought it before the Buffalo game. You guys can still get it at plus like 225 odds. So try it out. And cheers, Broncos.
Yeah.
And they're in a good spot too because like the AFC West, the supposed harder conference, has just been disappointing. Like the Colts are currently in a wild card spot. So wild card is kind of just completely wide open. I think it's Steelers. I don't know what the other team is. Steelers, Colts, and someone else are currently the wild card teams in the AFC, but Steelers don't deserve it. Colts have Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback. So the Broncos have a very good chance to make a run.
And the
for
teams
wild
that
card here.
like additionally were kind of like slated to make it, like the Chargers and the Bengals, are probably not going to make it with Joe Burrow getting hurt.
And who knows what the Bills right now, because they're sliding out.
They're in 10th right now, which is slightly scary for people in that playoff hunt because the Bills should be better. So we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, cheers to Denver for nothing else but getting their defense better, because that was what was killing them the entire beginning of the season.
I mean, if we had started 1-3, which we did, and then what was it? 1-5. We started 1-5. Look ahead to these next 5 games on the schedule. You see the Green Bay Packers, mediocre this year. The Kansas City Chiefs, among the best. Buffalo Bills, always at the top, but this year a little bit weird. Minnesota Vikings, again, a little bit weird this year, but usually among the top. And the Cleveland Browns, who a lot of us also have ranked highly in power rankings. You would have never chosen 5-0 streak.
Yeah, that's very
so. I would have probably said 2-3.
Yeah,
maybe that would be hopeful.
Go Broncos!
Go Broncos!
All right, for my toast, I'm picking Rashawn Gary from the Green Bay Packers. Packers over the past couple of weeks have been looking very, very good. There are tons of guys in the Packers I could choose. I could choose Jordan Love because he's been playing great. I could choose the Packers as a whole. But Rashawn Gary has really stepped it up, and he's still very young, but has kind of become the leader on defense for the Packers. Against the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, he had a career-high 3 sacks, 7 solo tackles, 13 tackles total. He was just all over the place. He forced a fumble. He had a fumble recovery. He just balled out against the Lions, and it's just kind of more of what he's been doing all year long. He has become an absolute monster at the edge for the Green Bay Packers and is definitely kind of a defensive cornerstone the Packers can build around. Also, really cool for him, last year when they played the Lions in Detroit, he tore his ACL. And so this year, coming back, torn ACL, back into Ford Field, had the best game of his career. And that's just a pretty cool moment for him.
Yeah.
So, cheers to Rashawn Gary.
7 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last game.
Yeah.
Incredible. He's been having a good year overall, 8.5 sacks now, but that was something special on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he went off.
Also, honorary, because I'll spoil it now, we're not going to roast the Lions, but honorary roast to the Lions, who are one of the founding fathers of Thanksgiving Day football and have lost 7 straight, mostly to losing teams of that year. So,
yeah. I was grateful that I forgot to place bets on the Thanksgiving games. So I was like, traveled to a Thanksgiving dinner and showed up and saw that the Packers were up like 13 or something. I was like, thank God I did not bet, because I would not have bet on that.
Yeah.
Jared Goff played like trash in that game. That was crazy. So. All right, but speaking of some honorable roasts, now to some real ones. Micah, let's kick it off.
Yeah, I'm roasting Scott Foster. I was thinking about roasting Josh Giddey, but with the investigation still going, it just felt a little too soon. Not that that's ever been a problem for Giddey.
No!
All right. Roasting Scott Foster. A few days ago, or I think it was 5 days ago, he ejected CP3 again, and it wasn't necessarily the cause of Golden State losing, but people ran the numbers. Chris Paul has gone 3-17 against essentially Scott Foster, or in games that Scott Foster has reffed. In 15 of them, Chris Paul's team was favored to win. Like, at some point, I don't rarely ever look at refs and be like, that's the reason why they lost. But those are some jarring numbers for a player like Chris Paul. Obviously, they've got their issues. Chris Paul gave a really fun interview at the end of that game where, props to him, did really well in making sure he did not get fined.
Yeah.
Like, spoke very eloquently and clearly, didn't say anything that could remotely get anybody in trouble. But in that, brought up that during his time in LA with the Clippers, had a meeting with Scott Foster, his dad for some reason, not sure why he was there, and Bob Delaney, who at the time was the NBA vice president of referee development and performance.
Hell of a title.
Hell of a title. Essentially, probably Scott Foster's boss in some sort.
Yeah.
But clearly that did not change anything. They do not like each other, clearly. Chris Paul said it was personal, brought up something with his son that no one knows what it is. But shortly after that, Stephen A. Smith went on a little rant about it and said, essentially, Scott Foster should not be reffing any more games that Chris Paul plays. And part of me is like, can you do that? Like, that feels like a weird thing to enforce and do and set up. At the same time, I fully agree with it. Like, we don't need to see Scott Foster reffing Chris Paul anymore because there's.
I'm sure we need to see Scott Foster reffing.
Yeah, that's
also fair.
That's the thing, like, if as a ref you're not able to just be, unbiased and just go into a game and ref it as you're supposed to, you shouldn't be an NBA referee. There have been college referees fired for that. And this is at the professional level. So the tough part is for the NBA, similar to the MLB umpire situation with crappy umpires, is that they do have a union. So, like, it's kind of like being a teacher nowadays. Like, you need to do some malicious shit to get fired. Yeah. So the NBA kind of has their hands tied, unfortunately.
We love our teachers. Thank you.
Yes, we do. You guys put up with a lot.
For sure. I mean, this isn't even, like, the only player that he does this with. It's the most egregious case. Oh, yeah. But this is, like, just another in a long list of reasons why I don't like him as a ref.
Yeah. Hey, they can't all be Bill Kennedy.
Yeah.
That guy's the best.
All right. Jonathan, over to you to put this team in our slot for the third straight episode.
I mean, how can we not, right?
Yeah.
Real quickly, partial toast to what people are now calling the Lob City Nuggets, because they fucking destroyed the Clippers without Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, or Nikola Jokic. And now, to be fair, the Clippers were not with their best lineup. Yes, they had Kawhi and Paul George playing, but unfortunately James Harden was also healthy, which proved detrimental to their team. So, if James Harden was out, maybe this would have gone to But dude, this was insane. Reggie Jackson scored 35, 13 assists, 5 rebounds. DeAndre Jordan, revenge game, man. Perfect day for both of our bigs to be out, because 21 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists against his former team just must have felt so sweet. Clippers wind up losing to a heavily depleted Nuggets team, 104-113, and I mean, it was hard not to include them for 3 weeks in a row. They look like one of the absolute worst teams in basketball right now, and it's just embarrassing.
That was an egregious loss. Like I would have almost picked the Pistons to beat the Nuggets without those guys.
Yeah, same.
There is no excuse to lose to that team.
I've watched most games this year. I didn't turn that one on because I thought it would be a horrible blowout.
Yeah.
I guess I was kind of right.
But yeah, props to Reggie Jackson though. That was a hell of a game.
It really was.
I love the fact that DeAndre Jordan might have just had one of the best games of his career in his 30s. In his 30s.
I mean, he made first team 1 year. In a year where there were no good centers in the league, but he made first team.
Yeah.
He had a really entertaining screwing over the Mavericks in one off season.
Yeah.
Where he promised to decide with them, and then right as free agency opened, he was like, "No, I'm staying with the Clippers."
He's my hero.
That was so funny.
I love it.
For my roast, gotta go with the Los Angeles Chargers. And this kind of encapsulates the past 2 weeks for them since we were off last week. Lost to the Packers, lost to the Ravens. Losing to the Ravens, much more justified. The Ravens are one of the best teams in football. Probably the second best.
When they decide to be.
Yeah. Probably the second best team in the AFC behind the Chiefs. Losing to the Packers, however, I know the Packers have been playing better, but that's tough.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of blame to go around on the Chargers right now. We'll talk about Brandon Staley later in the hot seat conversation. But, I mean, just kind of the perfect example of the Chargers season. Justin Herbert is like known for his calm, cool demeanor. Like you never see him yelling. Like he's usually pretty chill. But against the Packers, their backup center just had a moment where I don't know if he didn't hear Herbert. I don't know if he thought the cadence was going to be different, but didn't snap the ball before the play clock wound down, got delay a game. And Herbert spiked the shit out of that football and motherfuckered that guy so hard. And like that right there is just like, yeah, that's how it's going for the Chargers. Keenan Allen literally dropped a ball in the end zone that was thrown to hit his letters or hit his numbers and fell to the ground. And the excuse was the sun was in my eyes. I got benched in high school for dropping a pop fly because the sun was in my eyes. You're getting paid $20 million a year. Catch the damn ball.
I think they also have like visors and stuff.
No, he was wearing a sunglasses visor. There was literally no excuse for not catching that football. But I mean, the Chargers as a whole, they're so bizarre because I feel like they have way too much individual talent on that team to be this bad.
Oh,
Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback, has the talent to be top 5 if he is given a good situation. They have a decent O-line. He has Keenan Allen. He has Gerald Everett, who's a solid tight end. Austin Eckler is a good running back. Yeah. Joshua Kelly is a solid second option at running back. They even have good guys on defense. They have Khalil Mack. They have Bosa. And yet they can't do anything. Suck. They have Kellen Moore, who's considered to be the best offensive coordinator in football by pretty much everybody, and they can't win football games. Yeah. It's an absolute embarrassment in LA there for both teams, but mainly for the Chargers for this conversation.
And the Chargers is way more.
Yeah, there's
is it? I mean, compared with the amount of talent that they have, I think it's.
Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden.
Sorry, I was talking about the Rams.
I was thinking. I was talking about the Rams.
We're on.
No, Clippers. Yeah, way worse.
Chargers more embarrassing than Rams. Yeah.
Clippers way more embarrassing
now. But yeah, the Chargers need to figure something out. Again, we'll talk about what that figure it out likely is for the hot seat discussion. But guys just need to step up because this is just bad. So.
Yeah.
Honorary roast of the Bears. I wanted to do it so bad, but
he couldn't wait.
I felt like
fuck the Bears.
I felt like I've done it enough this year to put him as my roast. I had to diversify my portfolio a little bit more.
It's still the roast segment. You're still talking about that.
Honorable.
Yeah, honorary doesn't count.
Honorary doesn't count. I'm not going in on that.
All right,
that's for the hot seat section.
My apologies.
All right, with that, though, we'll pass it over to the matchup of the week segments. And Jonathan, why don't you tell us about this matchup we got going here?
Yeah, so we're finally at the part of the year for the NFL where we get to start talking about the playoff picture, right? And two teams that are currently on the outside looking in the AFC, and they are behind the wild card by 0 games. They're out just because of tiebreaker to the Colts. So this game is absolutely pivotal to both franchises, and both are running pretty hot right now. We're talking Broncos versus Texans, and I mean, one team, my boys, the Broncos, on a 5-game winning streak right now. The Texans on a 0-game winning streak, but pretty impressive over the last 5 as well themselves, honestly. Yeah. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting matchup. The Texans play a very controlled offensive game, and the Broncos defense has feasted mostly on turnovers these last few weeks. So can the defense make it happen? Can Stroud overcome their coverage? And ultimately, does the victor of this game make the playoffs for their effort?
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because if it weren't for the fact that for whatever reason people just have an aversion to allowing rookies to win the MVP, CJ Stroud would be one of the top MVP candidates right now. But for some reason, because he's a rookie, people just won't put him there. But poor dude is literally carrying that Texans team on his freaking back.
Yeah.
Like, he really does not have a whole lot of help there. The Texans' defense is not fantastic. They're okay. I think when I last checked, they're like ranked in the high teens, so middle of the pack. Their offensive line is fine. And then receiver-wise, Tank Dell and Nico Collins have kind of been showing out, but I honestly feel like that's only because CJ Stroud is there and is making them look way better than they actually are.
Right.
It's gonna be scary next year if the Texans are able to draft a good wide receiver. Jesus Christ, CJ Stroud might throw for 70 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, he is number 2 in passing yards right now. He is number 9 in passing touchdowns, which is very respectable. And alongside being 19 touchdowns thrown, only 5 interceptions, which is
very
among the top, among all of the starters in the league, second best for being able to control the ball.
Wow.
So,
I mean, I can't remember the last time we saw a rookie quarterback in their first year having that good of a touchdown interception ratio.
It's insane.
Trevor Lawrence, I think, was pretty much even his rookie season. You just go back. Patrick Mahomes didn't play as a rookie, but Justin Herbert was pretty much even though he balled out. Rookies throw a lot of interceptions, and yet here's CJ Stroud, who
Stroud is just a great quarterback.
He's allergic to interceptions.
It's gotten to the
receivers.
It's gotten to the point where we don't need to say for a rookie. He is just
he's good.
really, really good quarterback.
If people would be realistic about the MVP conversation at this point, it would probably go Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud is probably how the order should go at this point. But I think
Tyreek Hill if they didn't want to give it to a quarterback.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, he'd be up there. Same with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey would be top 5 as well.
Yeah. Honestly, I put Dak Prescott up there really high too. He's at 23-6 touchdown interception ratio right now.
He's on the Cowboys.
He is on the Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys. But it's just his best year of his career.
Yeah. So all of this to say, this will be a very exciting matchup with pretty massive playoff implications. Especially, who knows, it could come down to which of these teams has the tiebreaker over the other for that final wild card spot. Yeah. And if that's the case, that'd be freaking crazy.
For sure.
So, shifted over to NFL Power Rankings, and this is kind of an interesting one because it's covering 2 weeks, so a lot more movement in our NFL Power Rankings than we have seen recently. Yeah. But Micah, we'll start it with you. Who's been your biggest riser and follower over the past 2 weeks?
Biggest risers, the Broncos, which we've already talked about plenty. Also had the Packers rising a lot, which we've talked a fair amount about. One of the most confusing teams, and we talked about this earlier, before we started recording, but all of us have the Steelers in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us like that.
No.
Oh, I hate it.
But they're playing really good. I don't understand what they're doing. I talk about the Steelers every week.
My coworker is a big Steelers fan, and even he thinks that they're going to miss playoffs. I had to move them to 10, which is a huge jump for me, but I had to because
they're 7-4 in their wild cards.
They're 7-4. So it will be hard for them to miss playoffs. I expect them to.
I don't. This is the first. I feel like for every other iteration of this, up to this, my top 10 has almost always been pretty easy for me. Maybe I get to 8 or 9 and I have some decisions to make. I got to 5 this week and I was like, what the hell do I do? There's just so many teams who are supposed to, the Bills. The Bills, I have them at 14 right now. For their talent, I want the Bills to be in the top 10. They should be in the top 10, but they keep losing. The Lions lost to the freaking Packers, so I had to drop that spot. It's just so many teams that you feel like should be better. The Bengals, obviously, now that Joey B is out, dropped a ton.
Speaking of teams that are admittedly hard to place in the top X, but I saw you drop the Cowboys 3 spots. Did you see they won their last 2 games by a combined 58 points?
The last 2 games?
Yeah. Since we last had a podcast, they have won by a combined 58 points.
Didn't they lose to the Eagles?
Not in the last 2 weeks.
I thought that was 2 weeks ago.
No, that was 3 weeks ago. Maybe that's your answer then.
So they beat the Panthers. Wow, impressive.
I'm not saying that they're good opponents. I'm
Oh,
saying
and
that
they beat the Giants. Wow.
it was the Commanders. I'm not
week
saying
10.
that they were good opponents.
I was winning week 11 and 12.
They're not good opponents, but you dropped them 3 spots for winning by a combined 58.
Yeah, my defense for that is that the Jaguars beating the Texans is more impressive to me than the Cowboys doing whatever.
All right.
And then, I don't know, Ravens are chilling. Yeah, fuck the Cowboys.
I hate the Cowboys. but
they still have yet to prove anything. They haven't beaten a good team. They go out and they smash teams with shit records, which is great, but so far they've played 2 good teams, the 49ers and the Eagles. The 49ers dog-walked the Cowboys, and the Cowboys made it a close game against the Eagles, but they still lost, and they didn't put up that many points. So, I'm sorry, I don't really care if you can put up 40 points against a shit football team. If you can't beat a good football team, you're not going anywhere.
yeah,
So, yes, me having them at 7 is, it's probably too low, and I just wasn't paying attention. But at the same time, I don't consider them top 3 because they can't beat a good team yet. Yeah. If they beat the Eagles or in the next couple weeks when they play them, absolutely, I'll bump them right up there. But until they beat somebody of note, no.
They do have a murderer's row coming up with chances to prove it. Seahawks, middling team, but stronger than most of their opponents.
Yeah.
Then Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and then back to Commanders.
Yeah.
So
that is a gauntlet.
Yeah, this back half will this is going to make or break the Cowboys.
It will.
This is going to be their prove it section of their schedule. Because up to this point, the definition of a cupcake schedule. It has been insanity, which is mainly because they get to play the Giants and the Commanders twice, who are both not great. But yeah, I don't know. I get that they have a super high-powered offense, but it's only high-powered when they play shit defense. So.
Yeah. I think I have them lower than you, but I at least raised them.
way to go, Micah. Excellent take. Man, I will tell you though, my biggest faller this week, the Commanders.
Yeah.
It was the trade deadline that fucked them. They gave up their 2 best pass rushers, 2 elite pass rushers on the defensive end, and since then have allowed 29 to the Seahawks, 31 to the Giants, and 45 to the Cowboys, and have lost all 3 of those games. My God, what were you thinking?
To be fair, when they still had those guys, they still gave up 40 points to the Bears. So I'm not sure it's them trading those 2 guys that's the problem. I think they're just ass.
It hurt them a lot. They were averaging something like 20 points allowed before that, and now they're up to 35 after. So I really want to see Sam Howell succeed. He's been really good this year, and they have even less help now. I've moved them all the way down to 28, which really hurts. But they're one of the losingest teams in the league. So
yeah, I really hope, and again, Ron Rivera will be chatted about in the hot seat section. I really hope that if they bring in somebody new or their GM, I hope they make the decision to stick with Sam Howell because, based on the way he's played this season, he should absolutely be viewed as the quarterback of the future in Washington. It's tough for him because, Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin are good. I wouldn't consider either of them a top 10, maybe not even top 15 receiver in this league, though.
Yeah.
They literally don't have a run game.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson is not good, and Brian Robinson has his moments, but is overall meh.
Antonio Gibson might be the best running back in the league. You want to trade for him?
Nah, I'm good. So, yeah, poor Sam Howell.
Yeah.
And of course, I know we mentioned it, but damn, the Packers have been looking nice. Got to raise them up. And
real good.
now in the hunt for a playoff spot, and both conferences this year, the wild cards are really just completely up in the air. Right now, the Vikings are a wild card team, and based on how they looked against the Bears, I'm not sure how much longer that's going to last. And So the Packers absolutely in there. The Rams might be in there. Several teams who are currently under 500 who could try and sneak out that spot. I mean, if they're able to win 8 or 9 games, honestly, that might be enough to grab a wild card spot. And props to Jordan Love over the past couple weeks for just straight up balling out, honestly, and like bringing back my confidence in him as a quarterback, which partially concerns me because this is the season the Packers needed to know whether to stick with Jordan Love or move on from him, and he's been wishy-washy, which is the last thing the Packers needed. So hopefully he can just stay the course now. I think he's built his rapport with Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson up a lot. Jaden Reed looks freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so now that they've gotten kind of their connection down, there have been a lot of throws earlier in the season where I think Jordan Love just like didn't realize the speed of his receiver correctly. So he either underthrew or overthrew the guy because he thought they were faster or slower than they were. So
I want to root for the Packers, but it's not fair. I don't want Jordan Love to be good because Bart Starr, 30-year gap, then Brett Favre for like 20 years, Aaron Rodgers for like 20 years, and if you go back to back to back, literally not a single game without like having a star quarterback, and Jordan Love becomes something special, then I mean, there are a few franchises in the league that can say they have 2 quarterbacks in their whole lifetime of this quality, and Jordan Love could make it 4 for the Packers, which is ridiculous.
the only shit part is that in the past 40 years, we only got 2 Super Bowls to show for it.
Which is above average. Most teams have 1.
It's above average, but it's still like there's absolutely still a mentality like Aaron Rodgers should have won more.
He should have.
Yeah. Brett Favre should have won more than 1. Like that's the Packers way. Great quarterback. Rest of the team lets that quarterback down. Or So we'll see. Hopefully I do like what Matt LaFleur is building in Green Bay. They seem like a very tight-knit group. They also currently have the youngest roster in the NFL, which like is insanity. So like the fact that they've even started to do well at all is pretty impressive, that you can take this young group and actually get them to win football games. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the standings. I'm really hoping they stay hot, and if a team like the Rams can get on a run, which I'm not expecting to happen, it's looking like the Atlanta Falcons or whoever comes out of the NFC South will have a worse record than people missing the wild card just because they're winning the division.
That was almost last year, too. The Buccaneers won the division 8-9, I'm pretty sure. And, I mean, it's just... The NFC South is an absolute... I've seen so many memes of people being like, we're going to auction off your guys' playoff spot. You guys just don't deserve to make the playoffs this year because you're all so bad.
Like, I don't know if it's happened or how many times it has happened, but I really want to see a team with a better record miss the playoffs because of that division.
It's really rare, but
I mean, yeah, it has to be.
The NFC South is going to make it happen. And
it's going to be more rare now that we have 7 teams in playoffs, but it might happen.
It's still almost slated to happen right now.
I feel like the NFC South too just shows like the fluctuation of sports in general. Because like think about it, 2018, Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton, one of the top teams.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan, one of the top 3 teams. Saints, Drew Brees, one of the top teams. The Buccaneers were ass, but who cares? So like 3 teams who were all like top contenders in the NFC, and now all these teams suck. They are all so painfully bad. Like, and props to the Panthers for firing Frank Reich, but honestly, if you're a Panthers fan, until Tepper sells the team, you're gonna be shit. I'm sorry. He's such an idiot. Like,
hey, I mean, that's what a lot of people said about Dolan and the Knicks, and they're looking. Yeah, they're not.
They're not looking.
They're looking the best they've looked in a long time, which is going to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
Yay, James Dolan.
Yeah. And then real briefly, another unanimously huge riser and another huge faller. Falcons, just talked about them. Yeah. They're in playoffs right now. They're the 4 seed right now at 5-6. So
not a good 5.
No, it's bad.
Like all of their wins have been pretty shitty.
They've had one of the easiest schedules so far, but they're there, so they've risen. The Bengals.
Yeah. All of us have
old news. Yeah. It's old news. Joe Burrow's out for season. It's young news to a podcast that is 2.5 weeks since it's last published. So
yeah.
Yeah, it really sucks. The Bengals look like they're just finding their stride and
they were
starting to look good. It just sucks.
Yeah. Really interesting thing to watch with the Bengals this offseason is the T. Higgins situation. Because T. Higgins, I think his contract is up after this, so the Bengals could franchise tag him. But do they want to spend that much money to keep a guy who's essentially a wide receiver 1 alongside Jamar Chase, or do they want to let him walk and go elsewhere? If he walks and goes elsewhere, anybody who owns him in fantasy should be very, very excited.
Yeah.
And
honestly.
2, you should be praying to God that your team gets T. Higgins because the dude is a beast, but has been overshadowed by Jamar Chase for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Now time to hop over to Who's on the Hot Seat, NFL edition. And I'm pretty excited for this because it really just dives into my strengths, which is roasting people. So happy for this. We've kind of broken this down into 3 different categories. We have a grand total of 7 guys listed out here. In the first category, we have seat is warming up, which is like, they could be fired, they could not, could go either way. Seat is super hot, which is these guys need to watch out. They're like on the brink of getting canned, and he gone or they gone. They should and likely will just be fired at the end of the season. And honestly, in my opinion, I'm not sure why they just haven't been fired at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll start out with the seat is warming up section. We got Mike Vrabel from the Tennessee Titans at 4-7 and Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons at 5-6. Jonathan, what do you think of these guys potentially being on the hot seat?
You know, I might not be the best person to start this section out because I might rename better than Micah. I might rename this section though to "Seat is Tepid."
I like that. That's a good word.
Mike Vrabel, Arthur Smith, both of these guys are probably doing better than I expected with their current rosters. Now, there is reason to say the seat is warming up because a lot of front offices are slower to recognize that a roster is on the decline than they are to recognize that a coach is outperforming his roster. But if you look at the Falcons, I made a bad bet at the start of the season. I said that the Falcons would be a 1-win team. They've destroyed that so far, and I think a lot of that is to do with at least slightly above average coaching, not to the point where he should be fired. And then the Titans I've mentioned several times on this podcast, they've been declining rapidly in player talent. Like, they just don't have it anymore. They have Derrick Henry and 50 feet of dog shit. So for them to be even like remotely outside of the bottom teams is not necessarily an endorsement on Vrabel, but it's not like a indictment of him either. So
yeah, I agree with you on Vrabel. I feel like it's not really fair for him to necessarily be considered to be fired because like he was given Ryan Tannehill, a declining Derrick Henry. That team is just not great. I disagree on Arthur Smith though. I'm like, there's just been so many games in which they've lost. Like, it's been a close game in which they haven't put up many points, and it has really come down to the fact that he just doesn't utilize his offensive weapons correctly as a coach. I mean, how many games have we seen where Bijan Robinson has done nothing? And it's not because Bijan Robinson didn't play well. It's because he literally didn't get handed the ball very much. And he is one of the most electric players in the NFL at the moment. This past week proved it against the Saints. He had 91 yards on 16 carries with a touchdown. And they ran it with him and Tyler Algier, and they won 24-15. And in past games this season, they haven't used the run game. They've relied on Desmond Ridder for whatever reason. This past week, they also utilized Drake London for like the first time all season long. And they also utilized Bijan Robinson in the pass game for the first time all season long. So like this against the Saints, Arthur Smith kind of finally figured it out, but their offense has been horrible all year long. And when you look at that group of weapons they have, I know Desmond Ridder isn't great. They should still be better than what they have been if the coaching is up to par. So I don't think he should be like 100% considered for being fired right now, but I definitely think there should be some consideration of like, is he part of the problem here? Because maybe.
I mean, yeah. I will say I haven't loved like his game plan very much.
Yeah.
The Falcons have outperformed what I thought they would. I do think that specifically relating to Bijan, not necessarily the run game as a whole, because he does need to utilize the run game more, but related to specifically Bijan, I think he is headed in the direction as the same direction as most of the NFL right now, which is you don't want to abuse your primary running back because they have a short shelf life. If you truly think that they are something special, you want to extend that. And I think that's especially true for the Falcons, who don't have, I guess they do have playoff hopes now, but no one thought that they should. And you don't want to risk injury to one of the best running backs we've seen in a draft in like a couple of decades. For a team that at absolute best is a first round exit. So I don't know. They need more talent. They do need to adjust the game plan some, but I don't think there's a ton to work with.
It's fair. I don't have any. I really don't have any comments on these two.
You're good.
I don't know these teams or these coaches at all.
All right. Well, you should be able to weigh in on these
I intend to.
Shifting over to C is super hot. Two AFC East teams. We got Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots, currently sitting at 2-9. Yikes. And then Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills at 6-6, 500. Let's go one at a time. Let's start with Bill Belichick here. Micah, hop on it.
I'm gonna give him the benefit on the doubt for this. Like, I think super hot is a little too extreme. I get that the Patriots are horrible and have been horrible for a long time. But when you look at what the Patriots did with him for so long, and Tom Brady, obviously, most importantly, Tom Brady, like, it just feels hard to me to say that his job is threatened. Like, I get it's been going on for a while. I get 2-9 is horrendous. But, like, not saying he's anywhere good as a coach as Greg Popovich is, but, like, the Spurs have sucked for, like, 5 or 6 years. Ever since Kawhi left, they have been dog shit garbage. Like, no one should be calling for Popovich's head because the Spurs were so good for so long with him under their reign. I get he showed, like, not great stuff before he joined the Patriots and before Tom Brady came, all of that. I feel like he deserves a lot of benefit of the doubt before firing him.
Tough thing with Bill is that he's also the GM, which makes it a little bit more difficult for him because, like, anyone who's trying to, a lot of coaches, you can say, oh, the front office is giving him no help. Bill's doing this to himself.
He's having dogs draft.
He's the idiot that every single year he trades back in the first round and then takes a wide receiver who everybody was like, he should have gone in the 6th.
Or takes a guard that should have gone in the 5th.
Yeah, so, I mean, Bill's just kind of doing it to himself. The other thing is that, like, Greg Popovich is a good comparison, but I feel like more in the NFL than the NBA, like, your mindset can be outgrown by what is going on. And, like, if you don't stay on top of, like, trends and what's currently going on, you're going to get blown away. I think that's happened to Bill. I just don't think that he has, like, bought into, like, where the NFL is moving forward to. And he also has to deal with Mac Jones, which kind of sucks. But, like, he's still coaching the Patriots, like, the same exact way he was coaching them in 2006. And it's like, yeah, sorry. That's not going to win you football games anymore. Like, you got to adapt. You got to be Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Mike McDaniel. You got to think like one of those guys. And he just hasn't adapted his way of thinking. So, I don't know. Like, if I'm Robert Kraft, I think I'm considering it. Or at least taking away GM responsibilities and, like, actually bringing in a general manager. And giving Bill a shot of a year as just a coach.
I mean, Bill Belichick is an amazing coach, an all-time legend, and I genuinely believe that he is capable of taking a team in the modern NFL to the Super Bowl and winning it. He is the hero that New England deserves, but he's not the one that they need right now. I mean, you saw Rex Ryan. I don't know if you saw Rex Ryan's quote this last weekend. He said, "This team is playing like they are exhausted. Tom Brady was the only reason you won anyway. I'm just telling you the difference. I said they would never win again when he trotted down to Tampa. And the Patriot way, that's it. It exhausts these kids."
Yeah.
If you think for a minute that it wasn't about Tom Brady, you're absolutely crazy. And to credit Rex as well, he didn't just lay into the team. I'm highlighting one part of the quote. He did also credit Bill for being an amazing coach, an all-timer, Hall of Famer. But he highlighted the absolute essential of this question, which is, what is the Patriot way? What is the Belichick way? And it is it is grindy. It is exhausting. And if you are winning Super Bowls, it's 100% worth it to the players. And if you are 2-9, nobody wants to be there.
Yeah.
And we saw that even earlier this season with another coach that was just fired, the Raiders coach, Josh McDaniels. He followed the Patriot way. And as soon as he was let go, you could see the sigh of relief in that locker room.
Yeah.
And it's not because like his coaching styles were necessarily terrible. They were. Phil is a great coach, but Josh McDaniels does Bill's methods without the skill. But Bill's methods are not what the Patriots need. The Patriots can't sustain it right now. They need to like incite excitement in their players, to like sort of bring up their youth and talent, and they need players to want to come back the next year.
Yeah.
You cannot rebuild if players don't want to sign again. And that's exactly the situation they have right now. So
Yeah. I feel like I could absolutely see Bill going to another team. Like and we'll get to Brandon Staley in a second, but if the Chargers job opens up, I think that would be perfect for
Yeah,
Belichick.
honestly.
Go to a team who is starving to win games, who needs to improve their defense. You have Justin Herbert, who I think at this point would be willing to chop off his own nuts to try and win football games. So bring Bill in there. I think that's a veteran team. You don't have a ton of young guys. I think that team would be willing to buy into the Belichick way and grind it out. But yeah, the Patriots, they're just not built for it right now. So I think it'd be. I think honestly, in Bill's own interest, he might want to quit or be let go and have a chance at another job, which would better fit his skill set.
For sure.
Because God, him with Kellen Moore on the Chargers, Jesus Christ, make that defense 10 times better and have the best OC in the league. Yeah, Chargers would be scary all of a sudden.
Yeah.
without a doubt.
That's fair.
All right, now to the other guy, though, Sean McDermott. Great photo of him, by the way. Jeez. Tough thing for him is that I feel like for the Bills and Bills fans, like, you got to love Sean McDermott a little bit because he turned this franchise around. The Bills sucked before Sean McDermott. They hadn't been good in, like, not just years, decades. Sean McDermott came in, brought in Josh Allen. Suddenly they're a top contender. But the thing is, I feel like they've just kind of stalled out. It's like he doesn't know how to take the team to the next level. I also just feel like he doesn't know how to coach Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen is having midlife crises 5 times a game, or existential crises, and he just gets too caught up in, like, trying to just, like, as soon as they get down in the game, Josh Allen is like, okay, we need 60-yard completions. And it's like, no, Josh, like, 10 yards at a time will work, buddy.
Yeah.
But no one on the Bills has told that to Josh Allen because he keeps trying to throw these ridiculous deep balls and gets intercepted. And it's like, you need a coach to come in, and I think you kind of need a quarterback whisperer to a little degree because Josh Allen has the physical talent to take his team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But mentally is just a mess.
I mean, this team is playing fast and loud right now. Josh Allen leads the league in interceptions. This team is up there in total turnovers. And I don't think that is a sustainable formula.
No.
It is something that is inherently volatile. It's just what happens. And if you want to make it to a Super Bowl, which should be the goal for this team, they have the talent, then you need to adjust your coaching plan so that, I mean, Josh Allen, it's become a negative term over the last few years, but he needs to become more of a game manager.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing that really means to me is someone who plays under control and in synergy with like the rest of his team, his defense, his special teams. And gunslinger Josh Allen is not what this team needs right now, and we haven't seen any coaching adjustments yet to fix it.
Yeah.
Go right.
I will say, and it's like, it feels significantly tough now because even though they haven't had any like real playoff success, this is the first time they're showing like these lapses in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like they've always been, like since he's come, dominant in the regular season where you wouldn't consider firing him, and then playoffs just like some bad games. But this is the first time it's like, it's just rough watching Bills football right now, which is a new thing.
Well, and Jonathan, you said last year with the Vikings that like one of the marks of a truly good football team is winning close games. Mm-hmm. How many close games? I think every single loss the Bills have has been like a one-score game. Like they can't win close games. Josh Allen is now 0-6 in overtime in his career. It's like they can't do it. It's so weird. They just aren't able to close things out. They're not able to take that next step towards greatness. And I think at this point, you kind of got to acknowledge that Sean McDermott might be holding this team back. And if they're able to kind of close out the season and make playoffs, I still think you kind of have a decision to make if you're the GM or the owner of like, like should we give him another, like should we waste another season potentially giving him another shot, or should we go out and try and find somebody who we think can actually get this team to win?
I've long held the belief along your lines of close games outcomes are largely a factor of coaching. And you don't have to look much further than my own team, the Broncos, to see that evidence over the last few years. I mean, last year in close games, they were like 1-10 or something like that. And this year with Sean Payton, one of the best coaches of all time, they have 2 close losses and 5 close wins.
Yeah.
So that is a factor of coaching more than it is a factor of player talent, and they just aren't able to put it together with the Bills right now.
Yeah, for sure.
The Bills are 6-6 right now. Their point differential is plus 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the games they've won, they have blown people out. The games they lose, it's neck and neck. It's so bizarre.
Which, as a fan, it's tempting to think of that as encouraging. Like, we're plus 100 points in point differential. That means that our team is incredible. And, yeah, it means that you have incredible talent. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are fully equipped to make it through the postseason.
Right,
Which,
for sure.
I mean, right now you're hoping to make the postseason, but ultimately that should be this roster's goal, is to at least win 2 games in the postseason, and it's not looking likely.
I feel like they're good enough now and have been good enough in the recent past that their only goal should be Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like this is a little bit of a tangent from this, and y'all might call me crazy for this take, but there's part of me that thinks Josh Allen might be better off without Stephon Diggs. I think you look at the interceptions he throws on a regular basis, it is 95% of the time him trying to force the ball to Diggs. And I think in part it's because clearly Diggs is the number one guy.
Yeah.
But the tough part is, like, they have Gabe Davis, they have Khalil Shakur, they have Kincaid. Like, they have plenty of other good options. It's no longer like the first year when Diggs came where it was he's the one guy that can catch a football on this team. He can spread it out, but Diggs has that ego about him and has come out and had, like, every time they lose comes out, I should have gotten the ball more and like I need to be more involved. And so I think Josh is just trying to force stuff. So like there is part of me that wonders if they wind up trading away Diggs this offseason or let him walk or whatever, if the Bills might be better off. That might force Josh to be what Jonathan was talking about, more of a game manager. Go for those, 5, 8, 10, 15-yard passes over the 60-yard bombs to your number, to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Not sure I've ever said before that getting rid of your number one wide receiver would fix things for you, but here we are. I just think mentally it might fix Josh Allen a little bit. Not sure Jonathan heard any of that.
I did. Yeah. I was potty.
All right, well, now we'll shift over to the guys who are dead men walking.
Fire 'em all!
They gone.
Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye.
And now on to the NBA Power.
We got Brandon Staley, Los Angeles Chargers, 4-7. We've chatted about him a decent amount. Ron Rivera, Washington Commanders, 4-8. And then Matt Eberflus, Chicago Bears, 4-8.
You want to talk about the Bears,
Yeah,
Evan?
I might take the first stab at Matt Eberflus.
Go for it.
Like I said before this we started recording, this is my dream come true. I get to roast the Bears, and I didn't even have to make them my roast. It's a thing of beauty. Granted, I'm mainly just roasting Eberflus. If you're wondering why he should be fired, just look at last night's game against the Vikings. There you go. They had 4 interceptions. You know how many points they scored on those 4 interceptions? 6. And 3 of those interceptions came in Vikings territory, where they didn't even have to go half the field to score a touchdown. They settled for field goals. And also, if you watch the game, this is a slight exaggeration, but it's pretty much true. Half of their plays were screen passes behind the line of scrimmage. By the second half, the Vikings safeties just started going, okay, and dropped in coverage because they're like, well, they're just going to throw screens every time. I might as well be there to cover it. And did the Bears change that game plan? No. Do you know how many tackles for loss they had on screen plays? I tried counting it during the game. I'm pretty sure they had 13 on screen passes behind the line of scrimmage for losses because of the Vikings going, well, if you're just going to keep doing that shit, we're going to stop you. He's so bad. And similar to the Chargers, the Bears have a lot of individual talent on that team. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, they have Montez Sweat now on defense. They have a couple of very good corners. They should be better than this, and they should certainly be able to score more than 12 points when being able to get 4 turnovers. I think it's time. I think the Bears just need to can him. If I was the Bears owner, I also can the GM too for making that DJ Moore trade. But I think Eberflus's time is up. At this point, the Bears have no shot, so you might as well let him coach out the season. But yeah, if the Bears are smart, they'll can his ass at the end of the season.
I think it's likely. I think it's also you're going to have a lot of decent coaches on the board. Yeah. You're going to have the first overall pick next year, fairly likely. So definitely hoping to. I mean, we might also see their GM fired. We'll see.
He should be. I saw somebody do a breakdown where it was essentially the Bears acquired DJ Moore to pass on CJ Stroud. Just based off of trades and everything. And it's like, yeah, that's not worth it. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that they would have taken Bryce Young, which would have been a mistake, but yeah. I do like them moving back there just because they hadn't fully figured out what they had in Fields yet, but you figured it out. Get Caleb Williams now. Also, Ron Rivera. I go back and forth on whether or not he should be fired, mainly because this team is very lacking in talent right now, and he's sort of been decent for the team, except it's not been him. And why I think he'll be fired is because they have a promotion that seems really enticing right now in Eric Bieniemy, who has turned this offense from 0 to hero. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is worthless.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to fire him when you have a guy internally that you can just promote. You don't even have to do a head coach. They could literally fire him and within the next day sign Bieniemy to a 4-year head coach contract.
They should.
And they
need to right now, because if they let it go to the offseason, then other teams are in the bidding for Bieniemy. They need to fire Ron Rivera today so that they can lock Bieniemy down for a long time.
And you want to keep the enemy closer.
Give me some.
But I think Ron Rivera lost me when at the beginning of the season, when someone asked him about how good Sam Howell was playing, he simply said, yeah, I didn't realize he was this good.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're bad.
Not the-
like, you are not a good coach.
I mean, he was a third-round pick, but also he was favored to be 101 until people got dumb.
Yeah. So
I still can't I couldn't explain that fall when it happened. I still can't looking back at it. I don't know.
I feel like Rivera still has something to give, maybe as an OC somewhere, or as a quarterbacks coach somewhere, because he is kind of a quarterback whisperer. But I think his time as a head coach has come to an end.
And then Brandon Staley, bye.
Yeah, we talked about it. Chargers are way too good for them to be this bad.
He should have been fired after last year. I mean,
He should have.
The Chargers underperformed last year. They should have been way better. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, the Spanos decided, we're going to stick with this guy because he's an analytical genius and he likes to go for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, going for it on fourth downs doesn't win you football games usually.
Not by itself.
Yeah. So,
and I'm an analytics guy too. I don't need to be head coach to be able to execute on my analytics.
Yeah.
Just have a coach that slightly trusts the guys talking in his ear, and you're good. You don't need your head coach to be that.
Yeah.
And it's also I also just
you should have an analytics dude.
Yeah,
doesn't have to be the coach.
You do.
You also think about it now. I don't know what he's really contributing to the team anymore because Kellen Moore is running the offense, and the offense is the one decent thing going for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore is doing his job, which leaves the defense for Brandon Staley, and the defense is one of the worst in the NFL. So, yeah, I think his time has come to an end. I'm sure the Chargers fans, they have been calling for his head for the past 2 years. So.
Yeah.
Move on to the NBA, go over to some NBA power rankings. Again, 2 weeks in between the last time we did this, so there is a lot of movement. However, we are all very, very similar in our rankings.
Weird. Don't know how that happened.
I have no idea.
It absolutely didn't.
Weird.
We
didn't cheat.
No, it absolutely didn't happen because we were all lazy and just looked at the standings.
No, of course not.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely
If
not.
that was the case, I would have Magic 3 and they're 6.
Exactly.
Jonathan, we'll start with you, though. Let's just start with who's been your biggest surprise riser over the past couple
The
of weeks.
Magic. Next.
I was teeing it up.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Magic have looked incredible.
Yeah.
And weirdly so. Also the Kings, but the Magic. Paolo Banchero is an absolute beast. We all knew this, but we didn't all know that he would be able to bring his team together this quickly and to show this much success this quickly.
Hey, don't discount freaking Franz Wagner being an absolute beast as well alongside
True.
Paolo Banchero.
Jalen Suggs has been looking nice too.
Suggs has been,
He's taken a big step from last year.
Yeah.
that entire I think they're still probably maybe just ahead of the Blazers, one of the youngest teams in the NBA.
Without a doubt.
But
they do have Joe Ingles.
Jingles.
Which,
Yeah.
Jingles.
Don't forget Jingles.
brings the average up quite a lot. But yeah, the Magic have been very impressive, and here I'm Googling his name really quick.
I would have slated them for not end season. It's a new thing.
Play-in.
Yeah. I would have slated them for play-ins. These are a lot of good talent. They'll be there. But they're looking they could just make playoffs.
That's where I'm pretty sure when we did our ranks, I had them in the last playing spot for the East.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you guys said oh, you're being ballsy putting them there.
Yeah.
And now, they might.
And now you're not getting points for them either.
I don't give a shit. I already put money down on them to make playoffs at plus odds.
Yeah.
That's a good bet.
Yeah.
But they're also since we last talked about the standings, they're 8-2 with plus 6.5 point margin of victory. They have been outstanding, not against terrible opponents either. So
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, and their head coach Jamal Mosley, probably right next to the Thunder's head
Isn't
coach.
it Murray?
No. Right next to the Thunder's head coach, in contention for Coach of the Year. If these two keep it up, they're going to be the ones battling it out, which would be pretty excited because I feel like we haven't had like that contentious of a coach of the year race in recent memory, as far as I know, and to have it be like two sure thing like underdog teams that no one thought anything of. Thunder a little bit more than the Magic, but most people were still projecting Thunder for play-in. Yeah. And now Thunder are top 3 seed in the West, and the Magic are top 3 seed in the East, and they're dominating. So.
Speaking of teams who have been great since we last talked, Thunder are 7-2.
Yeah.
Average margin of victories in that time frame, 14.5. They're insane. Yeah. And it's all thanks to a statutory rapist. Alleged.
I was at the Nuggets game a couple nights ago, and there was a group of people behind me that are all on a fantasy team. And one guy was like, "Oh, what's your team name again?" He was like, "Giddy Up." And I turned around, I was like, "That's rough, buddy." He was like, "I came up with the name like a month ago." I was like, "Yeah, sure."
You should probably change that sooner rather than later.
Yesterday.
Yeah. You brought them up like with a second, but Kings have risen a lot too. They were my roast like 3 weeks ago because they couldn't play without De'Aaron Fox. And as soon as De'Aaron Fox came back, they remembered how to play.
Yeah,
kidding.
They are looking real good. I should have had this pulled up before I started talking.
No, that's fine. We'll wait.
They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Beating, I think, some good team. Oh, man. Yeah. Beating the Timberwolves, a close game against the Pelicans a couple times, beating the Mavericks, beating the Lakers, beating the Spurs, which everyone is doing now, beating the Cavs, beating the Thunder. Like, they're beating some good teams, which is fun to see because I really like the Kings. Like the beam, baby.
Yeah, I like the beam. Love to see it. They're just so fun too because they're all young and like I still feel like they kind of have that underdog vibe about them.
Oh yeah,
and feel good too for the city of Sacramento. They don't have a lot going for them, so but now they got the Kings, baby.
Finally got the Kings.
In terms of faller, I think it's kind of universal for us. The Warriors, like the Warriors, have just fallen off a cliff here over the past couple weeks. It's been
2-7.
Yeah, it's been tough. Draymond back to his antics. I don't know what it is. As soon as Steph steps off the court, Draymond is like, "It is my time to be a jackass." And
Rudy Gobert, let's choke him out.
And just does some stupid stuff. So, knowing the Warriors, they'll probably be able to turn it around. Like, they're better than this. But for right now, struggle in Golden State.
Yeah. I mean, like, they still got the core three. Like, it's still the Warriors, but it's been some time since they were incredible. And it really shows as soon as one of those three pieces is gone, like...
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, but good news for the Warriors. Trading away Jordan Poole continues to look like a fabulous decision after his little antic of... juking someone out at the hoop, staring him down as he ran out of bounds, being 5 feet away from the basket, and rather just putting it up there, goes for a dunk, and got swatted so hard. He's such a moron. He also didn't realize that the rolling the ball up the court trick doesn't stop the actual clock. It just stops the shot clock.
Which is literally the trick.
Yeah, like that's
the goal of the trick. That's the only goal.
So, Jordan, like, he's funny to watch, but he's funny because he's a dumbass and at times just not good at basketball.
Yeah, it was also kind of funny to watch him because he was a jackass. But, like, when he got minutes on the Warriors, like, actually played pretty good. He still made a lot of stupid decisions, but he would actually score.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago, the Wizards came out publicly and said... Jordan Poole is not a long-term, like, piece for us.
No way.
Yeah, which is a tough thing to say. Granted, to Jordan Poole, right after that, started going off. He had, like, 6 games in a row where he didn't score less than 20. A couple games where he scored at least 30. And because he's a piece of shit, I was like, okay, you're playing the Pistons? You haven't scored under 20 in like 7 games? All right, I'll bet on you to score at least 20. Idiot drops 10 points. I hate Jordan Poole.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yeah, not a surprise why he got decked in the face by Draymond.
Not at all. Like, we were all so confused when it happened, and now I feel like Steve Kerr was like the only thing preventing Jordan Poole from going full idiot, and now that Steve Kerr isn't there, Jordan Poole has embraced full idiot. So
Yeah.
just not good.
No, he's bad.
All right.
Spurs have also been really bad lately, which is a
Yeah.
bummer because they were kind of looking good at the beginning of the season, and Wemby is still playing phenomenal. Like, all of their players are not looking bad. Vassell looks really good. Sohan doesn't look like he's fine. Wemby looks really, really good.
Keldon Johnson, yeah.
Keldon Johnson looks solid. They just can't put a win together.
Since the last time we talked, 0-10, minus 13.5 average margin of loss.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of what we all expected, though. Like,
I know,
yeah,
but it's still sad.
I am 100% still in the belief that this is just going to be the David Robinson draft pick before Tim Duncan draft pick, where the Spurs were still crap after drafting Robinson. And then they drafted Duncan, and it was like, we're just going to go win 6 championships now.
We'll see. It's not a great draft this year, though.
No, it is not.
And it was kind of reverse order for the last time around, too. Robinson slightly later, and Duncan first overall, right?
Yeah.
Was it that year? 97? Yeah, maybe.
I think
Probably.
so.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Spurs. I wouldn't put it past Pop to like pull something out of his ass in the draft next year and draft like the next Michael Jordan. But
I saw the Spurs and Nuggets game live, kind of with Jonathan, but not really. We weren't sitting next to each other. But it was near the end of the game. Wemby had like 20 points, over 10 rebounds, multiple blocks, like 6 or 7 steals. And someone was like, he's going to be really fun to watch in a couple years. It's like, he's fun to watch now. What are you talking about? This is so entertaining. This guy is incredible.
I mean, it's hard to like
Casual
say
Nuggets
he's
fans.
really fun to watch when the Spurs are down 15,
Yeah, the Spurs aren't fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
but he is fun to watch.
all right, let's kick it over to the trivia though. Michael will be running this week. I currently lead at 5. Micah's got 3.
Hey, yeah, that's it.
Jonathan just
Nope,
hasn't.
that's it.
Jonathan just hasn't participated yet.
Yeah, I haven't played yet.
He hasn't had a chance to get on the board. Now it's his first ever time.
About to be 1-0.
All right. Trivia this week is, you can ignore the title. I just needed a placeholder. It is NFL Madden player rankings. I did it earlier with the NBA.
Wow.
And we are doing it with the NFL now. As a quick clarification, these are the Madden rankings as of week 11.
Okay.
So, very current. I think, yeah, because week 12 just finished. So, ignore that, but I can't imagine anything changed that significantly. So, the format, I have a placeholder image. This is how it'll work. We have wide receiver 1, 3, QB, tight end, wide receiver 2, running back at the back. Makes sense. I will provide the numbers in here, and then I will need you guys to buzz in, like Jonathan set the precedent for last time. I will call on you. Do not answer until I say your name. There are 11 total, so there should not be a tie. After I give the numbers, I'll give you some time to think about it, to make a guess. If you guess and you are incorrect, I'll put you on a 5-second pause where you cannot guess and the other person has a chance to think and guess. I do have, if you guys get stuck and you need a hint, I have the highest ranked player in Madden that is not one of these positions. To maybe give you an idea of where their biggest strength is. And then if you need an additional hint, I can give you the conference.
So you never show defense, I'm assuming?
No.
Okay.
Like the next best player might be a defensive player.
Okay.
but it won't be like D defense.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
And so, kicking it off. Do you want me to read them out? Is it hard for you to see?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Buzz.
Yes.
Miami Dolphins.
Incorrect.
Buzz, Buffalo Bills.
Incorrect.
Also, he hasn't called our names yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you
Don't.
said yes when I said
That
Buzz.
doesn't count. You both are on a pause now.
Let me know when we're off pause.
Okay, you're off.
Buzz.
Evan.
Philadelphia Eagles.
That is correct. AJ Brown is a 96. Jalen Hurts is a 90. Swift an 85. Their next highest player, because I did the research for it, so I'm going to say it, is a right tackle, Lane Johnson at 96.
Not gonna lie,
Night Train Lane, except that's not the same lane, but
I'm kind of surprised that Jason Kelsey or Darius Slay wasn't their next best player.
Me too. I was expecting Kelsey to be it, which I was kind of hoping for, but unfortunately, as it was. Evan is up 1-0.
when you give us the hint, if we ever do, will you tell us the position as well, or just the rating?
I'll give you the position as
Okay.
well. Yeah. All right. Next up,
Buzz.
Evan.
Ravens.
That is correct. Oh, no, what the? Look away! Okay. That is correct. Lamar Jackson with 95. Gus Edwards at 80. Mark Andrews at a 94. Zay Flowers at
Nelson Aguilar's on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Wasn't even aware of that.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Here we go.
Damn you.
They couldn't all be
Buzz.
easy. Jonathan.
The Bears.
Incorrect.
What?
Buzz.
Jonathan.
The Falcons.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Evan.
Titans.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
The Packers.
Incorrect.
Don't disrespect Aaron Jones like that.
Let me know if you need the hint.
Buzz.
Evan.
Giants.
Incorrect.
Hint.
Okay, it is their cornerback at a 96.
Whoa.
Buzz. Jets.
Incorrect.
Cornerback.
Buzz. Saints.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Evan.
Broncos.
It is the Denver Broncos. There's Patrick Surtain at a 96.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say Russell Wilson feels low. I get he's not having like a stellar season, but 78 feels low in my mind.
I also didn't think that Joey, Judy, and Patrick would be so closely rated.
Yeah, I was surprised about that too.
I didn't think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dulcich is about right.
I also didn't think that Patrick would be our wide
Yeah.
receiver 3 since he's out for a season, but.
Yeah, that's what Madden had.
All right.
But it's not like you weighed that into consideration.
Oh, I definitely did. I want my money back.
All right. Moving on.
Buzz. Chiefs.
Yes. That was who buzzes in first.
All wide receivers have the exact same rating. That is
Yeah,
wild.
that was a fun one.
That
I
is
like
disrespectful to Rasheed Rice.
Yeah, it's like if anyone just initially looks at the wide receivers, they will not win this.
That's why I've been starting from the top. Yeah, if I looked at quarterback, yeah.
I started from the top 2, but when I saw 70, I skipped because I knew it wouldn't be very helpful to me.
And then double 99.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
Oh,
Fuck.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Packers.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I went through all of this. I was sure I did this.
Buzz.
well, I guess you just eliminated 2 off the board, so we're technically still at 9 possible answers. Which means that if I just get one more right,
Yeah, that's bullshit.
How did it skip? Like, in my slides, they are correct. Like, I don't know how it
I think you
skipped
double
two.
hit it.
All right. Let's see. How should I do this? I'm going to move these around, and you'll know what teams are coming up, but you won't know when.
Okay, wait. What was the other team you saw? Because that's not fair that Jonathan saw it and I didn't see it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the 49ers.
No! At least give him the player I saw.
What, Brock Purdy?
We left off with the Kansas City Chiefs. Next one up.
Buzz?
Yes.
The Falcons.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Giants.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Packers.
Correct. I didn't move it.
Let's go!
Yeah.
I'm happy you guys got each other's teams.
Me too.
Oh, I almost
It was necessary.
Yeah. All right. Be very careful.
Buzz.
Yes.
Dolphins.
Incorrect. I need to make sure I have this.
Not funny, nailed that.
Yeah. Okay. I know who this is. I didn't change the order on my sheet. After I switched it.
Buzz.
Yes.
Bills.
That should be correct. It is correct.
Let's go! I'm a little surprised Josh is only a 92. I'd probably say it's deserved, but I'm surprised he's that low.
Yeah.
And Jonathan ties it up now. Moving on to the next question.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Oh, never mind. Pass.
Incorrect.
Buzz. Raiders.
Incorrect.
You're not saying my name.
I don't like your name.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Falcons.
No.
I'm just going to keep going back to that well. 90 feels too low for that. Fuck it. Buzz.
Jonathan.
Cowboys.
Incorrect.
Okay.
That could be higher than 83.
Probably. Buzz.
You got it first.
He's guessed too many times. Kenneth.
Damn it. Lions.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Ooh, bummer. All right. Moving on.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
49ers.
That should be correct. Yeah, C-Mac and Kittle should be a...
Ties it up again.
Ties it up again with 3 remaining. It's a tight game, folks.
Buzz.
Oh, shit.
Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, baby.
I stopped looking at the top wide receiver first.
That was a mistake.
It was a
Tyreek Hill
mistake.
at 99.
Not gonna lie, I feel like Jalen Wall at 86 is a little disrespectful.
Yeah, I think so too. But,
What are you gonna do?
yeah. Next one up.
Curious.
Buzz.
Evan.
Bengals.
Incorrect.
I need to guess. Buzz.
Jonathan.
Cowboys?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, CD Lamb with a 95.
Yeah. It feels a little high, but I respect it.
It all comes down to this. 5-5.
I'm glad it's a close game.
Can
This is way more
Jonathan
fun.
get his first win? We'll
In my
see.
first attempt, too. You made it hard.
Yeah.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Seahawks.
Incorrect. I'm actually going to institute the clock for sure on this one.
Buzz.
Evan.
Rams.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Eagles.
Incorrect. We already did that.
That's true.
Buzz.
Evan.
Vikings.
Incorrect.
Buzz.
Jonathan.
Chargers.
Chargers is correct.
Boom!
But I still had this.
I hate you, Micah.
Oh my god. That's great.
I love the photo.
Yeah. I don't know how you look so... Do you know when that photo was taken? It's your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, it was when I moved out here.
That still looks crazy young.
Did I take that photo?
No.
Okay.
All right, congratulations, Jonathan. His first win.
In one try, too.
One try. It's remarkable, truly.
Lego Movie Batman. First try. Thanks for running that, Micah. A lot of fun. It was nice to have a close one.
Yeah.
Good game, man.
I feel like I might have overcorrected a little bit. The NBA 2K ratings. I feel like I picked really hard teams. I was like, I'm going to stick with like good teams and a few mid teams.
Some trash.
I think that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell, like, the Bears from the Falcons
Right.
from the...
All
right, now to cap things off, we of course got Sportsbook Showdown. Micah, we'll kick it over to you for your first bet.
My first bet is the Suns, and this is all on Wednesday's slate of NBA games. The Suns beating the Raptors, 76ers over the Pelicans, and Kings over the Clippers. 2 units on this at plus 572. Feel really good about the Suns winning. They're on a hot streak. Raptors aren't great. Sixers over Pelicans is honestly the one that I'm most stressed over because on any given day, the Pelicans can just decide to be the best team in the league. And then, yeah, betting on the Clippers to lose feels pretty good. So.
Yeah, for sure. Also, for all of those of you wondering, hey, why are they betting on Wednesday when they posted this on Thursday? If you like this video 10 times, the next one will get out before any of our bets vest. Anyway.
Probably not.
Probably. It will. If they give us 10 likes, I'll do it for them. So, my first bet of the week, I'm going with the put the Broncos in playoffs tomorrow bet. And that requires 2 things. It requires the Broncos to beat the Texans and the Titans to beat the Colts. That is plus 420. I'm putting 2 units down.
Nice. For my first bet, doing an underdogs bet this week, I'm taking the Cardinals over the Steelers just because I have no faith in the Steelers. Kyler Murray's back. And then Panthers over the Buccaneers. I don't know what it is, but it's like NFL law. You fire your head coach, your team immediately wins the next game and then loses the rest. But they win the next game because they're so happy that that dude got fired. So
Yeah.
taking
Raiders.
Yeah. So taking those 2 plus 785, 2 units.
All right. My next bet is very different from you. I'm taking the Steelers over the Cardinals. Also
That's
taking.
gonna lose.
I feel good about it. I'm taking the Eagles over the 49ers, which should be a really fun, close game.
Yep.
I'm taking the Lions over the Saints. So that paired together is plus 381. I put 2 units on that.
It's losing, but it's not bad. For my second bet of the week, I'm going with another losing one, but it's only a 2-legger for plus $1,300. I wonder why. The Wizards over the Magic and the Pistons over the Lakers. Next.
Just projecting the 2 worst teams in the NBA to win. No big deal.
Yeah, it'll happen.
My second bet, going back to my total points parlay, it's just so much fun. For Dolphins Commanders, I'm picking over 50.5. Both big offenses, both terrible defenses. Fireworks should happen.
Yeah.
Falcons Jets, I'm going under 34.5. Complete opposite. They are both ass on offense. And then Colts Titans under 42.5. Mediocre on offense. 42.5 combined is a decent amount for 2 teams. So take me under there. It's plus 572, 2 units.
My last bet, I'm doing a future, and I'm predicting the Super Bowl result. I'm guessing that the Dolphins will win the motherfucking Super Bowl against against the Eagles. One weird thing when I was looking at DraftKings, this bet is plus 2,800. Eagles beating the Dolphins is also 2,800. And that doesn't feel right considering how badly the Eagles beat the Dolphins earlier this year. But regardless, 2,800, put 1 unit on it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That is the thing.
Transition. My last bet of the night is for the division winners for the NBA. I'm going Nuggets, Bucks, Celtics, Mavericks, Suns, and Magic. The only one that isn't currently favored, I believe, is the Magic. And that's still getting me plus 2,700 odds, going just 1 unit down.
like it.
Still really glad I took that Magic bet a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's looking
Love to
real
see
nice
it.
now.
Gonna shoot my shot on another one. My final bet: Los Angeles Lakers are not going to make the playoffs. I'm taking that one. That's plus 180. Not fantastic odds, but I just don't see it happening. I honestly thought it would be higher plus odds
I did
considering
too,
that
yeah.
LeBron is on that team. But
and AD.
yeah,
And Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I mean,
He will be the GOAT in 2 years.
is he not already?
Good point.
in Korea he is. But putting a unit down on that. And that'll cap things off this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Micah, take us out.
Austin Reeves is gonna, and we'll say 3 years MVP.
So
Look it.
It's a long vesting hot take.
It's still hot.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
3 years. Okay.